Welcome to the Ripple Effect Martial Arts Podcast.
Hi, everybody. We're here today with Miss Emily Fox. She has very recently earned her first degree black belt in American Freestyle Taekwondo from Ripple Effect Martial Arts. And she's also a mother, and she's also would you say founder?
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
We're going to explore this too and talk about it. But she has initiated a scholarship to help other young people, and young women in particular, to explore the martial arts. So thank you very much, Miss Fox, for being with us
Yeah,
today.
absolutely. It's my pleasure. I'm very honored that you asked me to be part of this.
Well, let's start with what's your background in the martial arts? What brought you into it?
Sure. So I'm a mother of two, and what initially brought me to Ripple Effect was finding them at a holiday. I believe it was a Halloween thing where we spun the wheel and won some free classes and a free uniform and got the kids involved. That was, I think, 2016. Quite a while we've been in the Ripple Effect system. Myself, I kind of sat on the sideline, as something for my kids to do, and was happy having him there and seeing the benefits in their life. And then in 2018, I had a couple of girlfriends that also had sons that were training. And I went to class one day and they were out on the mat. And I was like, okay, well, maybe this is like a Mother's Day mom thing. And then the next time I went, they were out on the mat again. And internally, I just kept thinking, man, like I can't be the only mom that's on the sidelines now. Like I have to join too, right? So internal peer pressure really kind of moved me to start. And then it clicked for me like it clicked for my son. It just found so many things and so much value in training and Ripple Effect that, it's just something that I became very, very passionate about. And then that kind of worth that I got from training is kind of what spawned the Empower Her scholarships. Just how much benefit I got from it kind of started me thinking about, how important it is for women to, get these skills that they can obtain by training, and just how important it is for women to be empowering other women. And decided that I needed to find a project for my leadership project that would allow women that same opportunity to allow martial arts to empower them in their lives in the same way that I found that empowerment. And that's kind of what started it all.
That's awesome. So for anybody listening that doesn't know, earning a black belt from the beginning takes about 4 years. And a leadership project is one of the requirements for you need to develop a project that will help others in your community. That's the general requirement. And that comes about 3.5 years. And so when did the idea of Empower Her, can you talk about that, when it came to you and how it came to you?
So the exact moment that it kind of, the spark hit was I think it was our second in-house intramural tournament after COVID. So it was still, you couldn't really have anybody with you. It was live streamed. And I performed a fan form that I had created on my own after coming back to train after tearing my ACL. So I had created this form as kind of my Rise of the Phoenix, is what I originally titled it. My coming back from the ashes of this injury and coming back stronger. After I performed the form, Miss Hayes came and gave me some advice and said, this is really great, and here's some advice on how you can improve it going forward. And when I thanked her, she said specifically that she really loved being able to empower women in martial arts. And that just really struck a chord with me and really got me thinking about my own journey, how much it really meant to me, how much it meant to me to have all of these other women in the community supporting that journey. And I just decided I have to do something that has that type of an impact. I need to have a project that's going to inspire the next generation of female martial artists to get involved in the community and to be able to receive that empowerment from martial arts.
What do you think the martial arts training imparts to women in particular?
For me personally, I've identified really three key points that have meant the most to me in my personal journey that martial effects has afforded me. Self-esteem, right? Martial arts is a great way for women to feel empowered. That's where empower her came from. And it's a great way to feel capable of meeting challenges head on. You know, we all want to reach our full potential as people, right? And martial arts really has helped me develop a roadmap for both on and off the mats on how to get there, right? Another big one is self-awareness. It forces us, martial arts forces us to test ourselves, right? Test our abilities, test our what we're capable of physically and mentally. And many times we'll find out that we're so much more capable than what we gave ourselves credit for. Perseverance, determination, tenacity, these are all skills that we develop while we're training on the mats. But a lot of times we find out while we're training that we have these, you know, qualities all along the whole way. And a really big one for me, and one of the things that I'm passionate about is women's self-defense, right? Women are just simply at a higher risk of attack than men from both strangers and within close relationships. On average, 600 women are sexually assaulted every single day. And self-defense really starts with the mindset that you're worth defending. And that comes with that self-worth and that self-esteem, right? Once you feel like you're worth defending, then you find the strength in being able to do that. Self-awareness, self-esteem, and self-defense skills can really be the difference in a positive outcome in an attack situation and a negative one. So being able to empower women to find that quality and that mindset that they're worth defending and that they have this worth is really the biggest takeaway for me in martial arts.
That is extremely articulate. The idea of awareness, self-awareness. I remember one of the first, this is years ago, but the first self-defense workshops that Master Macy taught, he said, someone's walking, you're walking down the street and someone's walking behind you and it feels in any way uncomfortable. You turn around and confront. Yeah. And just say, hi, something like that. And that can be enough to, oh, well, if there's no problem, there's no problem. Hi. And somebody goes on. Right. And if there is a problem, that's a confrontation that is not aggressive, but makes a potential attacker know that you're aware of where they are.
Of course, that awareness is definitely key in being able to, like you said, confront in that moment. A lot of times people aren't aware that they're giving off very uncomfortable vibes to the people around them. And it could be a very innocent situation where you're like, oh man, like I had no idea, I'm so sorry. Or it could be like, oh wow, like that person, that woman is aware of the fact that I'm behind here. Maybe I want to rethink this, you know, potentially negative situation that they had in their head at that moment. So having that awareness, and then not just that awareness, but on top of that, having the skills and the ability to defend yourself, should that awareness not be enough, is really, I feel, incredibly crucial for women and young women, especially teenagers, preteens, to kind of have that awareness and ability ingrained in their capability.
So let's talk about the ability side from white belt to black belt over the course of years. What do you feel like you've gained in ability, but strength, agility, things like that?
Absolutely. Strength, agility, flexibility for sure. Balance is a big one. Being able to turn around to confront somebody and be in a situation and a stance that is empowering and that is well balanced in the case someone comes at you is huge. For the longest time, I thought I was the clumsiest person in the world, but training has really helped me be able to balance myself, not only physically, but mentally as well, to know that, how I stand and how I portray myself is just as important and empowering and as strong as having physical bulk and muscles to be intimidating as well.
Yeah. Going from those initial white belt 10 push-ups, let's do 10 push-ups. And then getting to, 70 at red belt or something, and then getting to, all right, let's initiate 24-hour test with 100 push-ups, and we'll be doing that several times over. You think that more or less anyone could join up and achieve these kind of benefits?
Absolutely. Myself starting, there was no way I ever envisioned myself even getting on the mats. Like I said, my son trained for 2 years before I even had the thought in my head to join him. And starting out, I was like, okay, this will be great. I'll have fun with the girls, but again, never envisioned getting all the way to black belt. Just didn't even thinking that I was capable of doing that physically. And the home at ripple effect, they're not so much as, you have to be strong, you have to do 100 push-ups, you have to do this. They want you to do the best that you can do and push those limits for yourself. And that's going to be different for everybody, right? Like myself is 40 years old. The amount of push-ups I'm capable in 60 seconds is far less than what my son at 11 is capable of doing. So being able to know yourself and know how to modify what you need to for your own body is key. But anybody of any physical age range or physicality could join the program and get just as much out of it. Because like I said, it's not all physical, right? A lot of it is the mental training that you get of knowing that you're worth defending, whether or not you think you're capable of doing it physically, defending yourself or not. Knowing that you're worth defending is one step ahead of where you could be, right? One step ahead of one more piece of knowledge, one more tool to add to the tool belt in that situation. Is just the knowledge of knowing that you're capable.
What does your son think of you training?
I would hope that he's proud of the training that I did. It's definitely, like I said, for my son, it really clicked. My daughter also joined, but after about a year, it was just, she just didn't have the passion for it that my son did. And so it was karate and ripple effect was kind of his thing. And so when I decided to take the step to get out on the mats myself, the first thing that I did was talk to him. And I said, I know this is kind of your thing. How would you feel if I joined you? And he was like, oh, Mom, that'd be cool. I'd be so honored if you would do that. And I feel like that's kind of the position he's had all along. Like it's weird as a parent, right? You go to all these things, these belt promotions. And the first time he did a black belt summit, it was like this sense of pride as a parent, right? That it's like, wow, like my kid is amazing. He's capable of all of these things. Like, this is amazing. And as a parent, there's been a couple of situations where I'll do something like this past weekend and my son Jordan will be like, Mom, like, I'm so proud of you. And as a parent, like you don't get to hear that from your kid, right? You're the one supposed to be supporting your kid and encouraging them. So having your child tell you that they're proud is a phenomenal feeling for sure.
That's awesome. Something that is a little less, what would we say, romantic about the black belt experience is you got to keep all your stuff together. And, you've got sparring pads, you've got weapons, you've got all number of equipment and everything that you're donning and taking off and putting down and so forth. And that can get mixed up. And that is a huge aspect because it's kind of the same as school or something, just going, do you have your pencils? Did you pack your lunch? Or and something that you're doing for the last year, at least very heavily, you're focused on how do I pack my things so I know where they are, I can get them readily and stuff like that. Did you see that with your son at all?
There was a lot of the whole like, okay, do you have this weapon? Do you have your sparring gear? Do you have your bag? Do you have your water bottle? All of those things. And then he hit prep cycle, right? And at prep cycle, it's very much starting to get drilled in that you are responsible for your own journey. If you are late, you're 10, you can't drive, but if you're late, it's your responsibility, not Mom's. And so right about that, like he really became independent in that aspect. And it was like, he's got his gear bag, he's got his weapons, he's got his water. If he doesn't have it, guess you don't have it. There's not a mom reminding you and checking everything down the checklist at that point. And the same was of me. Once I started prep cycle, it was like, okay, I've got to be responsible for these own things. The first black belt summit that I did as a brown belt, we were getting ready to bow in, and I told him, I was like, I love you and I'm supportive of you if you need something, but I ain't your mama when we get on that mat. Like, I have my own journey. I have to be responsible for myself. Like, I don't have the time or the capability in this situation to do it for two. I have to do it for myself. You have to do it for yourself. And that's something that we kind of grew doing together. As a parent, I want to do everything for him. And this kind of forced my hand as, look, I can't. If I do it for him, I'm not going to be doing it for myself. So you kind of gain a sense of independence and instill a sense of independence in them.
That's super cool. We talk a lot on this when I talk to people on this podcast. I look at the paradoxes, and that's one of them, where you're so disciplined that you become independent. And that's a paradox, but that really does happen. It's like, okay, my 10 or 11-year-old kid, we're on the same level. We're responsible to the same degree for what we can do. And
Right.
it's an incredible evening, I guess, of those roles. When it comes to the future, with Empower Her, can you just talk a little bit about how people can find out about that, or what you're doing with Empower Her?
Absolutely. So like I said, Empower Her Scholarships kind of started as my leadership project. I had this idea to raise money, support the community that has supported me for years. And as I started doing this project and raising these funds, which was great, sold these t-shirts, which was fabulous, and then started to award the scholarships. My initial goal was 3 scholarships, one for each of the 3 schools. And we were able to give away 8, which was awesome. And the feeling that I got giving away these scholarships was like, wow, like I am impacting this woman or this girl's future in martial arts. And just the feeling that that gave me really was like, we can't stop. This project can't stop, right? It needs to be an annual thing. Like, we need to be able to award scholarships every year. We need to just keep the momentum going. So I worked and was able to fully incorporate Empower Her Scholarships as a 501c nonprofit organization to keep the momentum going. We've had a couple of other fundraising opportunities. Did a charity ladies wine night that we did a silent auction at to raise a couple $100. The next big fundraising opportunity is Ripple Effect is hosting a women's self-defense seminar in a couple of weeks on November 19th. All of the proceeds of that seminar will go to Empower Her to support the next round of the 2023 scholarships. And that's kind of really at this point, like I want to keep it going. I want to be able to award scholarships every March during Women's History Month. This next year, I'd love to be able to get the funds to do 10 scholarships, one in each of our 5 schools, including our Florida school, because I mean, we're all Ripple Effect family, right? No matter if we're Fort Collins, Broomfield, Longmont, Fleming Island, we're all part of the Ripple Effect family. And really, so it's just kind of creating these fundraising opportunities. I spoke with Ms. Hayes a little bit at the Black Belt Summit, and just trying to find other females coming up in the system that want to support the Empower Her project, right? With even their own leaderships projects. Do they want to sell t-shirts or do a bake sale or whatever and raise funds however they want to support that cause? So really, it's just being able to find opportunities to fundraise at this point. I definitely don't want it to stop this year or even next year. I'd love to see more women's self-defense seminars, whether they support Empower Her or not. This is the first one that we've done post-COVID, and I personally have missed them. I did my first one before I even joined, and it was a phenomenal course to be able to take without any martial arts training. So being able to come in as, I was a student's mom, but as a member of the public, and get the same amount and the same type of training and information as you would just by going to a karate class, but that's more focused on how it's going to be an impact and a benefit to you, is phenomenal. So really at this point, the future of Empower Her, I hope, is looking brighter than what I ever had planned. We've got a Facebook page that people can join that, I'd love to post, updates and stuff on that. We don't have a website as of yet, but that's coming a little bit further down the road. And really at this point, it's just word of mouth and within our own ripple effect community, right? That this project and that this scholarship fund is here, and the benefits that it could potentially provide to students. Yeah, I'm very excited about the future of Empower Her and where it could potentially go.
Thank you for listening to the Ripple Effect Martial Arts Podcast. Find episodes and more at rippleeffectmartialarts.com.